What is good? What is good? It is the most hated yet anticipated Mikey T, the movie star. I'm back, and there's a whole lot of hip hop news right now, or I guess you could say there's a whole lot of speculation, but we're gonna cover a lot of it today because recently Rick Ross had actually mentioned Meek Mill by name on his new album, Richer Than I've Ever Been. I want to say it's called. This is like, what is this, the 12th or 13th album from Rick Ross? But the interesting aspect of it that we're going to cover tonight, as well as going over Meek Mill's signing with Rick Ross and all of that, the interesting aspect of it is that Ross has mentioned him by name on this track and actually giving a little bit of information about when he initially signed Meek Mill. Meek put out some statements last week, statements a few weeks ago, actually. I'm not sure the exact date, but Meek Mill had made a couple statements in regard to his recording contract when he had initially signed with MMG, and even all the way up to now, where Meek Mill has released several albums with MMG. Um, Somebody in the chat, how many albums has Meek Mill released with MMG? I mean, all of them. Dreams and Nightmares, Dreams Worth More Than Money. He had Wins and Losses, Championships. You know, I know the albums, you guys. I follow that. That's one thing that I'm into when it comes to hip hop is statistics. And something you will probably hear me say again tonight is how how is Meek Mill still even signed? How is Meek Mill even still signed to Rick Ross and MMG after putting out 4 or 5 albums with the label? In reality, it just doesn't make sense to me. You would have thought that Meek Mill would have been moved on from this. You know what I mean? You would have thought Meek Mill would have moved on at some point. Um, he didn't sell records. That's not accurate. Meek Mill's first album, Dreams and Nightmares, Meek Mill's first album, Dreams and Nightmares, was probably actually no, it wasn't his least selling album. It sold about 165,000 first week. Uh, his album Wins and Losses was probably his least selling first week at only, I want to say, 99,000 copies first week. But Meek Mill has sold a ton of records. Dreams Worth More Than Money, his second album, sold 250,000 copies. If anybody wants to fact check me and leave it in the chat, but Meek Mill has sold some records. You know, he moved about a quarter milli in a week. Very impressive. What did Meek Mill? Meek Sosa, what's going on? I appreciate you tapping in tonight. He said, I think 4 and some mixtapes. Well, at this point, I believe it's 5. But, you know, even French Montana was on Drink Champs with Nori. Salute to Nori. Salute to Young Riley, EFN. French was on, and certainly salute to French Montana. French was on Drink Champs, and he had said this was his last album with Bad Boy, I think he said he did 5 albums. So that's kind of a similar bag when you're talking about Meek's deal with Ross to French's deal with Diddy. But Meek has sold a bunch of records, Young Ty. The Mark Ballard Show, yo, I appreciate you tapping in tonight. He said, peace and blessings, Mikey T. I want everybody to share the link to this video. We got a major discussion going on tonight. You know, Meek Mill, to my knowledge, Meek Mill had not dissed Rick Ross. He had not dissed MMG. He didn't take the route that Young Buck took when Buck had an issue with G Unit and Buck had a bunch of shows. We know Meek has no shortage of shows. He hasn't been on any shows saying FMMG, or we would have seen it. We would have seen it pop out in the media over and over again. So we haven't seen that. But Meek did say something where he was like talking about his record contract, where he was talking about not getting paid for any of his albums. And I guess these were a series of tweets that he had put out. And a couple people came to his aid, Tyrese being one of them. Tyrese had some radical shit that he was saying. You know, of course, got to love Tyrese. I think he is one of the funniest new comedians out there. You know what I mean? When it comes to motion pictures. Tyrese had said something along the lines of, artist masters being reversed to them. And if you look at something like that, you know, with we were just saying Meek Mill being 5 albums in with MMG, like wow, you know, the material that Meek Mill has. I mean, the intro, we've seen the intro actually used in several movies at this point. So that's what it comes down to. That's what the worth of the music comes down to, where it's going to be used in the future in film, or when it's going to be duplicated and sampled in other music. So that's the worth of owning your own material, you guys. And Meek Mill has several of those albums under MMG. I'm not sure of the breakdown. You know what I mean? I'm sure Ross didn't give him the worst deal. You know what I mean? I'm sure it clearly seems to me that Meek Mill is eating. So that's going to be one of our topics tonight. But also, we are going to touch on something that it's been in the making for quite some time. I'm talking about Joe Budden versus Gillie the Kid, Gillie the King. Now there's talk of some sort of a versus or a battle. We saw Gillie spit on the spot over a Metro Boomin beat, which was very impressive. I had seen a post about the best podcast spitters. But we got to talk about that tonight, because Gillie the Kid versus Joe Budden. I'm not sure what platform it's going to take place on. There was actually this MC War that had hosted Saigon and Vado, where they rapped over beats, which I think would be interesting. I'm about to bring my co-host in tonight. What up, Schizo? What's popping with your G's? I'm about to bring my co-host in tonight, and we're going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Because Gillie the Kid and Joe Budden, I'm not sure what format it's going to happen in, you guys, but you know, a strange part of it is I could see it being a podcast battle, like an interview battle, like I was suggesting that I could do with another interviewer. Like if we were to come on here and we were to show our best clips and shit like that. That's honestly what I would say it could be with Gillie the Kid and Joe Budden. And they could even bring out some of their most popular guests. You know, Gillie and them could bring out Floyd Mayweather, possibly. Long shot, maybe Shaquille O'Neal. You know what I'm saying? They could bring out some of their most popular guests, and Joe Budden could do the same. But my co-host Bond Simmons from Queens, New York, is getting ready right now, you guys. He's going to join us, and we're going to get this thing started. So let me just get my notes here. Oh, here we go. So Rick Ross is saying that he let rappers get around Meek. He was saying that he let rappers get around Meek. That's the line that really caught me. You know, he was talking about Big Meech. He was talking about really throwing money with Big Meech, but he was talking about the fact that he let other rappers get around Meek. And that's going to be one of the lines that we take a look at tonight as we dissect the whole situation, from Meek Mill's career to the way that his career took off once he was rocking with MMG. Yo, PZ, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for tapping in tonight. And Philly Throwback Rap Channel is in the building. The Philly Throwback Rap Channel is in the building. Schizo's in the building. My guy Maul is in the building. Definitely appreciate you all. And now I'm going to bring my co-host, my guy from New York, Bond.
Scuddy, my guy. Salute.
What's
Salute to the whole Report Card Radio gang.
How you living tonight, man?
I'm good, bro. I can't complain, man. You know what I'm saying? Can't complain, man.
So we got a couple topics to talk about tonight, man. And I know a couple weeks ago you probably heard all the rumblings with Meek Mill being seemingly upset about his contract. Did you hear those rumblings?
Right, yeah. About little shots and yeah.
Now, you know, when Meek Mill went over to rock with Rick Ross and MMG, you know, just to start things off, I really want to say it was different than what it became. You know, with Meek Mill and Wale, MMG was able to become a conglomerate.
Right.
Before that, Before that, Bonds, it was really like you, Q, and Shay Davis running around. You know what I mean? Ross,
Right.
Wale, and Meek Mill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They had more of a separate little. They had their separate Wale, because Wale been had his little his own career. I would give him, I guess, like
Yeah,
independently grinding. Remember
he had
Wale
a,
was
he
I
had
think
a
he had a deal and all that.
Interscope.
You said what?
He had a situation with Interscope.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they put him together with Lady Gaga and all that.
Yeah, when he had Seinfeld hosting his joint and all that.
That was later on.
But no, the first one. Remember, he had the Well, no, he just had the covers on. He was using the cover. That's a fact. It wasn't actually Seinfeld hosting it. He was
Right.
using the covers.
That's what attracted the attention when he actually got that
Not Seinfeld
to host his album or whatever. Meek Mill had, Wale had a lot of different creative ideas, Bonds. What, is somebody blowing you up right now, man?
Yeah, I'm trying to cut that shit down. You heard it vibrating?
Yeah, I can hear that shit. But But no, Bonds, I only say that, to preface what we're doing here, that Rick Ross working with Meek Mill and Wale at the beginning was a gamble. Maybe Rick Ross didn't have that much money to throw around, similar to the way 50, Banks and Yayo,
Oh, you got a point.
Shay and Q, you know what I mean? There's not all the money to throw around at the beginning.
Yeah, you got a point, because it's what you can get from the label and what your track record has proven. So, the more you consistent you remain, right, the more shots you get. You're right. So at that point, but Rick Ross was pretty big as an artist.
Well, Bonds, this is where later on, after Rick Ross proved he could have success by signing artists, by Meek Mill and Wale blowing up, I think that's how he was able to secure advances for the likes of Stali, for the likes of Fat Trell, whoever.
Remember, he had the triple, right? He had the other dudes from the Bronx. Remember, damn, what was his name? Torch, yeah, Torch, yeah. Exactly,
right. Torch. But he was also able to double back and get Gunplay. Another
they dropped albums. Yeah, right? They dropped albums, like 2 albums.
He got Gunplay another contract with Def Jam as well.
Facts. Yeah, Gunplay had situations. Yeah, no, everybody got their look over there, because they dropped Triple C's albums, like, just as a group, and they dropped Maybach Music compilation albums. You know what I'm saying?
2 different record labels, though, Bonds.
2 different record labels that they was on when they did it?
Yeah. Def Jam is the one that put out Triple C's, Okay. But then after Triple C's tanked, you know what I mean? They weren't as adamant. Just watching as a fan,
okay,
Def Jam wasn't as adamant about putting out Maybach Music. That's why Warner Brothers stepped in.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense too. That's right, because if the first joint didn't do, and which is crazy, because no disrespect to torching them, but like the second wave with the Maybach was better artists, because you know what I'm saying, we talking about Torch and Gunplay as opposed to Meek Mill and Wale, like, you know what I mean?
Well as Young Breed was in Triple C's as well, Bonds.
Right.
But so Rick Ross released his new album, or he's setting up to release his new album. Somebody in the chat, let me know. Peasy, has Rick Ross's new album Richer Than I've Ever Been? That's what it's called, Bonds.
That's a dope title.
Pretty cool title, right?
Yeah, I like it.
So he has a record called Little Havana on Richer Than I've Ever Been, and he said that he let rappers get around Meek. That's pretty much that's the big lyric in question. He said, I was really in the club, I was throwing money with Meech, and I let these rappers get around Meek, something to that extent.
Right.
So I want to take a look at that line. You know what I mean? Because right there, Rick Ross put Meek Mill's name on the track on his new album, and he he didn't leave anything to question right there. He actually said his name. And does this take it any further now that, you know, Meek Mill's been calling out the labels, whether it's Atlantic, Maybach Music, Meek Mill saying he wants all of his money.
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy. But if you pay attention to Ross, man, like we know Ross addresses things. Like I'm saying, it ain't never been a situation that Ross has been a part of that he didn't address. Like, you know what I'm saying? From Baby, Bird, you know what I'm saying? From Birdman to whatever, Jay-Z's with, you know what I'm saying, with Lil Wayne, 50, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? So
Look at this comment. Look at this comment right here from Peasy. And this is the next step of where I'm taking it, because this is the other part that you have to consider. Peasy says he did actually let rappers around him by signing him to MMG. Now, we all know that Meek Mill had a buzz. You know, Meek Mill was doing shows.
Right.
Meek Mill was even attracting the attention of hip-hop heavyweights like T.I., but
yeah.
Look at it from
I had him first. Yeah, I think T.I. had him first.
T.I. had him first.
Yeah.
But what do you make of Louis Peasy's comments that once he signed with MMG is when he really got that light?
Yeah, I mean, Ross was the top dude. So you know what I mean? That co-sign from the top dude, you know what I'm saying? And along with Meek dropping the right records, because he came with the right records. But of course, that affiliation, that stamp on your back, of course, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Bonds, T.I. was a much bigger artist than Rick Ross, man.
Yeah, but T.I. didn't give him that same look. But T.I. said he just got locked up, and that's when he caught his case, so he didn't have the opportunity to do whatever with Meek Mill. You know what I'm saying?
And Meek said the same. You know, Meek had got locked up. But Bonds, I don't know if you saw the interview, and everybody shared this video. Me and my guy Bond Simmons, hip hop panel tonight live. But Meek Mill
in the chat.
Meek Mill had said that T.I. was really just letting him use the name, rep the brand, borrow a car when he was in the city. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah.
Rather than doing actual paperwork.
Right. And that's the thing, because some dudes work ethic is different, and some dudes ain't trying to, doing the same. So he was probably taking it slower. He probably wasn't, they want to dig in his pocket. Some dudes be, I ain't gonna accuse nobody of nothing, but
All right, this is a good thing. Philly Rope Throwback Channel says Ross put Meek out front too.
Exactly.
Ross really put the push behind Meek. Whereas when T.I. had his artist, and this is taking nothing away from T.I., man, because like I just said, T.I. to me was a bigger artist than Rick Ross, Bonds, because he was moving 500,000 first week, 600,000 first week, 450,000 first week. This guy was moving serious numbers, but he didn't really put his artist on Front Street. BG, you know what I'm saying?
But see, this is a difference too. Ross was equally as big, but see, you can't always look at the exact with the album sales numbers, because Ross album sales is not really crazy. He's probably more of a single dude. So as far as relevance with him and T.I., it's probably closer than they album sales would say.
Well, Ross has T.I. has Ross beat on the singles too, Bonds. T.I. would have like 3-4 singles per album, man. Like, I'm just saying, there's no real comparison, even when it comes to the endorsements. But what Rick Ross did was take his company serious. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, even though neither artist seemingly wanted to invest or could get a bag for Meek Mill, Rick Ross was the one who put his career on the line. He's like, yo, I'm a big celebrity. I'm going to stand by you in Wale right now. And I'm going to put everything I got on the line to give you guys the push. Whereas T.I. focused on King. T.I. focused on T.I. versus T.I.P. You know what I mean? He focused on Paper Trail.
Yeah. And might have got a budget for his artists and was like, you know what I mean? I'll hold that. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he had Young Dro, who he got on. I mean, it was probably a no-brainer for labels when Shoulder Lean came out.
Right.
And then he got Young LA. Then he did the Players Circle. Well, no, then the Pimp Squad Click. Excuse me.
The PSC.
PSC. Yep. And then he even got Big Country. You know what I mean? Big Country, My Time to Eat.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that shit? Big Country actually had an album.
Yeah, he dropped everybody. T.I. did his thing.
Philly Rap Throwback Channel says that Ross had momentum at the time. Yep, that's right. Because Rick Ross was getting ready to take his major mainstream appeal, and he was getting ready to put it on everybody's computer by doing all the World Star videos, by doing, you know what I mean, by doing the EP drops, you know what I mean, and starting to build his name back up.
Yep. Yeah, I can dig that.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's me and Bond Simmons tonight, your boy Mikey T, the movie star. And we're talking about this track that Rick Ross released. It's called Little Havana. And on the track, he actually had this to say about Meek. He said, I let rappers get around Meek. So I want to ask the question, Bonds. Is it accurate to say that Ross saying that he let rappers get around Meek? Because it seems like he was actually buzzing throughout the country at this time. It feels like at this point in time, Meek Mill could have really went to anybody he wanted and got in a feature.
Right, but if he signed to Ross could have put the clamps on him though.
Ultra, yeah. Once he signed to Ross, everybody cared that much more.
Yeah, but then Ross could have prevented him from doing those things. He had to clear that. He could have made it hard for him to, you know what I'm saying, collab with dudes and all that. So he's saying he let dudes get it right. He let you do whatever you wanted to do with whoever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I could be adding to it, but that's what it sounds like he's saying pretty much like. You
know? When Meek Mill got around Ross, he got the opportunity to be around probably all the people you would want to be. Next thing you know, he's at parties with Soulja Boy.
Right.
And
different features.
Rather than just being Meek Mill or just being Bond Simmons, now that's Rick Ross's guy, Meek Mill. You know what I mean? And Soulja Boy now cares who you are. Or Sweetie, you know what I mean? Or Doja Cat.
Because there'd be a lot of people, it'd be a case where people will see you. You know how it is. People will see you and they ain't gonna reach out and assist you or help you until they for sure that you're gonna do something. If they think you about to just pop in for a minute, I mean, you just another face trying to, you know what I mean, get close to the action. People not really gonna do nothing. They're not gonna take you seriously. But now if they see you with Ross, they already know now, like, oh nah, he's already about to do something, like something, you know what I mean? It's about to pop, so people's gonna look at you.
And the way he came out with I'm a Boss was just so perfect as well.
Yeah. With the boss, with Rick Ross, it all made sense.
But Bonds, the question I'm asking here, has Rick Ross pretty much exposed that there is dissension or problems, friction within MMG with him and Meek Mill? Like the fact that he's bringing up a lyric like this in a song, like does it expose the fact that there may be dissension or problems, beef, as they say?
I mean, it does, but it's like, in all actuality, Meek already did that. You know what I'm saying? And probably was already out there before then, but Meek definitely did that already. So, like I said, you already know Ross was going to address it. He'd be addressing things like, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. He even addresses things outside of his label. So,
yeah.
And we saw what happened
with other people's business. So, you know,
he addresses stuff within his own label too. We saw what happened with Meek Mill and Wale. You know what I mean? But yeah, so so another note that I did want to bring up is that Meek Mill said, ask the label how much they spent on me, and then ask how much they have made off of me as an artist.
Right.
Looking at this from the artist perspective, Bonds, how much money does it really seem like MMG and Warner at the time, before it was Atlantic, it was Warner, actually invested in Meek, who would go on to drop his Dreams and Nightmares album?
How much?
Yeah, like in your mind, because Meek Mill went from being, you know, a hot op artist out of Philly, and then after that, he immediately went to being one of the next up in the hip hop community.
Yeah. So not knowing what the numbers was at that time, I'm sure he got, well, I'm saying, the premier budget. You know what I'm saying, that premier artists get, that's, you know, coming out or whatever. So it probably was a matter of, you know what I mean? Well, it most likely was a matter of him getting that in advance, you know what I'm saying, upon signing this deal, and they keeping everything coming in on the back end, like, you know what I'm saying? You know how labels work. So they gave him whatever they gave him for signing it for the album, and, you know what I'm saying? Or he's seen his show money and all that, I'm sure, but, you know, other than that, probably.
Yeah, you know, I'm just looking at the situation of Meek Mill. You know, before he was with MMG, he might not have had access to video directors or people willing to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a video at that time. Ross had a couple, as I said earlier. Ross was ready to make that dive. He had linked himself up with Spiff TV. He had linked himself up with Dre Films. So he was really ready to make that dive. So in all honesty, Bonds, the budget they really didn't have to do much for a budget aside probably fly Meek out, make sure Meek has cool clothes, that he's probably staying at Ross's mansion, maybe mostly wearing marketing material. You know what I'm saying? But those are the real things that like make the budget minimal. The fact that he had the directors, you pay for the locations, you pay for the studio to record the music. So I think going into the deal with Atlantic or Warner Brothers, I think the budget could have been really minimal, man.
I don't know. Like you said, if he was with the Ross cosign and the Ross guarantee, right, they're gonna go off of projected numbers. So it probably wasn't crazy, but
well, I mean, you're talking about when he got to the Dreams and Nightmare point. I'm talking about when Rick Ross initially flew him down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm talking
about, that's a fact, because you got to think about it like this too, just keeping it 100. Whatever Rick Ross got for Meek Mill is different for what Meek Mill got for Meek Mill. You know what I'm saying? Because it's different. Like if you Rick Ross, or say if I'm Rick Ross and you Meek Mill, and now I get a bag for the labels for you. Now remind you, I might get the bag. So now I'm giving you out the bag. So you're not gonna get the bag that was got for the label, because in all actuality, they're giving the label because of me, because I'm gonna be supporting, I'm gonna be on it. So I'm the one that's proven. I mean, with sales and all that. So it's rightfully that is really my bag, but I'm giving you the artist, so I gotta give you a bag, but it ain't gonna be the bag.
Maybe in the first case, you know what I mean? But looking at that, I mean, Meek Mill has dropped 5 albums, Bonds, and they've all been under Maybach Music. I really, honestly can't believe that he's signed to MMG for over 5 albums.
Probably 7 album deal. That'd be them joints be 7 joints, man. 7 albums he probably got.
That really realistically doesn't make sense to me until I was watching French
Montana. 7 albums.
Huh?
7 albums, that was standard. At one point, 7 albums was standard. What dudes were signing for 7 albums. Now I mean, like dudes that's real big come out. That's what I'm saying. They probably gave him a bigger check, and then Ross told him, like, you know what I mean, like, yeah, let's say he probably got 7. I don't know his deal, but I know 7 albums was standard. So, but it did move away from that. People was getting different kind of deals, but I guess he got that 7 joint.
Yeah, I really just looking at it, man. Wikipedia, reading up on the albums. I cannot believe he's still there after moving so many units for MMG. I mean, you know, his first album came out, he moved like $150, $160. Second album, the guy moves 250,000 units in a week, Bonds. He's still on MMG. Like, how could he have not got himself out of this deal? Like, I really just don't understand how he couldn't have got himself out of that deal at that point, man.
Oh no, man. Like,
Not to say him and Rick Ross don't have a dope relationship. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of a ton of their music together. Like in the chat, let's address this comment in the chat. Mr. Colossus says Meek was running with Tip and the Grand Hustle crew before Rick Ross and MMG.
Yeah.
That is true. But when Meek Mill actually went over to MMG, he got MMG hot as hell. Him and Wale turned that whole label into like it turned it into a Murder Inc. They turned it into G Unit. I think in my notes I have it written down. Maybach Music was one of the biggest labels since Death Row Bonds.
It was hot.
You never wanted to be on MMG Bonds.
I would still sign with MMG. But nah, I think Ross is decent as a businessman. He seemed like he got good morals. So I would definitely sit down with a dude like Ross. But yeah, I think they had a good thing going for sure. Like, they had a good thing going, like him, Wale, Story. They had good artists over there. Like, I like all them dudes pretty much. So I think they did have a good thing going. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it was a bad track record probably initially because the Triple C's wasn't really good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just to keep it 100, like, no disrespect to them, but
they got Gunplay got a lot better.
Nah, Gunplay, yeah. And Gunplay had the energy. He was different. So, like, I like Gunplay, like, energy-wise and all that, too. But, like, and then, like you said, even Gunplay got better because even back then, he wasn't, you know what I mean? As he like you say, he got better. He got better. So,
yeah, he wasn't who he became a few years later when he ended up dropping Rollin' and he ended up charting on Billboard.
He wasn't in that bag at that point.
But at that point, the new MMG had already taken over, so there wasn't going to be any going back on another Triple C's album. Plus, the Triple C's album Bond sold about 13,000 first week, so I don't think Def Jam was all that interested.
Right, but that's what probably got them, made it initially hard for them to get the biggest bag when they first came. Like, hold up, you just bought a group and them niggas did 13. Like, I mean, but I don't know, because you got to think about it. Wale had, I don't know, he didn't have nothing big probably to scale, but I guess Wale was dwindling down from, he never really reached a height, but he was like dwindling down before the Ross kind of,
well, he released his debut album. I want to say it was called Attention Deficit. It had a single with, was it called Attention Deficit?
But, I think that was it, bro. Yeah.
But it had a single with Lady Gaga. It just it gave him a good platform to go on MMG, almost similar to Tupac in a way. You know what I mean? That he was like this worldly artist that went on to like kind of like a gangster rap label.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But no, Bonds. MMG was the coolest label to be on at one point. When I was down in Miami at Rick Ross's crib, rolling up weed in Ross's house, and Ross comes down the stairs. Yeah, what other blogger? I want to know what other blogger was rolling weed at Ross's crib.
We'll wait. Tag him.
Tag a blogger that was rolling up in Ross's crib.
We'll wait.
Mr. Colossus says Wale in comparison sounds like Charles Hamilton flow. No, I don't think you could compare Wale and Charles Hamilton, man. Although Charles Hamilton.
Damn, what happened to Charles Hamilton?
Very talented cat. Very talented.
What happens to that dude?
Philly Throwback Rap Channel says he was dwindling. I'm from the DMV. His buzz was dying.
That's a fact. He was dying. He was going down. He was dying prior to that. That's a fact. But he did drop some big records, though. He dropped the joint with Tiana Taylor, the Bay. He dropped that joint with Jeremiah.
Well, I mean, look at the, you know what I mean? Look at the shit that he had to follow up. They gave him a record with Lady Gaga. Who's following that up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wale had to dig into his bag and really grit into his creative genius.
With Miguel.
Yeah, Lotus Flower Bomb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He really had to dig into his bag to come back, Bonds.
Brought him back.
But I will say this, French Montana was saying on the Drink Champs podcast when they brought up the dissension with Rick Ross and Meek Mill. I was listening to it. I was like, damn, we got to get on here and talk on the panel.
Yeah.
Because it looks like beef has been exposed from within MMG, but maybe they'll handle it from within the crew, because French Montana said that they all got rich together at Bonds and they all know each other.
And then it's like, no disrespect, like, oh, funny to Meek, but it's like, I don't even look at it as like beef in the end, because you didn't see Meek do that already a couple times. Like, Meek just be, I guess he may just get in his feelings sometimes a little bit. You know what I mean? Because he just be, you know what I mean? Remember he violated Wale, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know how he could say
album or some crazy shit.
I really don't know how he could say he's didn't get any money off of those albums. It's pretty evident that he's getting money. But I mean,
that's what I'm saying, like,
show money, you know what I mean? Show money is one of the biggest things in an artist's career now. I mean, I remember reading that Meek Mill was getting like 90 bands on the Nicki Minaj tour per show. So,
right. I just seen that's crazy, because I just seen the Juice Man interview where he was talking about him, you know what I'm saying, how the whole Make the Trap A, that first album is like he don't own none of that, and how they
of it.
None of it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. And you know, Tyrese actually chimed in on this whole thing too as well, and he said that he feels like after a certain amount of years that the artist like the royalties for the album should be reversed in favor of the artist. So
yeah, certain times, like dude said, 10 years after his death, his family can go back to those points. 10 years after he died.
10 years into his life. Yeah, 10 years after he's dead.
It's his life plus 10 years.
Yep.
Shit like that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. What's your whole take on this, Rosewood? Being from Philly, Rick Ross seemingly exposing dissension from within MMG, man. Like, it looks like there's a little bit of problems in Maybach Music.
Well, yeah. And I gotta say, Ross had to come out and say something, because it was just making him look bad, you know, because we don't know the inner workings. But one thing Meek Mills did say was he didn't know Charlie Mack was still on his contract. So that means Charlie Mack, who took him to T.I., is still on that same contract today. He's still getting paid off him. So it's not really what did the label put into me, it's who's eating off my plate that's still on my original contract. And like Bonds was saying, it goes back to the OJ the Juice Man interview. He said you got two contracts. He said you got one contract where you getting in, you got another contract to get out.
Yeah, he did say that.
It's like when you first start off, you know, you don't have all the money. So the label has to back you. You know, so I don't know. It's a real tough situation.
But like I told dudes before, man, you got to look at it from a business standpoint, man. If you are a record label, and let's say I take you, Mikey T, and you're a product, and I pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into you, how does business work? I have to put in. It's an investment. It has to pay off. So therefore, if I put the money into you, I have to own this. You are my profit. That's why a label's gonna own your masters. That's why he's gonna take. It's in his best interest. What could the label will crash and burn if he put all that money into you, and the property could never appreciate for him, and he couldn't keep getting money off of it for years to come down the line. What is the purpose for the label? So the artist gotta understand, like you going up there, like you sign that label, they gonna give you that money that you've never had in your life, little 50, 100,000. Some dudes like OJ said $10,000 they gave him for the shit. Like I could have gave you $10,000. And he's like, you serious? Oh, that like, so it's crazy. Like, but dudes, they don't got the money. Like he ain't have. So.
But OJ the Juice Man also said that Mizé or whatever Deb's company was called.
Yeah, well, he didn't say her name, so.
Well,
you just said
he said that they were putting him up on shows, $15,000 a show, but they would keep the front end. He would get the back end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they were doing something, Bonds. They were doing something. They were at least lining him up with the shows for all of that material that they got.
Oh yeah,
crazy. That's kind of
they had the business set up. They was running the market, running the record through the market, then hitting the promoters, setting up the shows, taking the front end, and then sending him over there saying you can keep the back end.
Right.
Made already.
And all right, so Rosewood, I want to ask you: was signing to Rick Ross and MMG enough? Was being brought out to Miami to work on the collabos with Wale and Rose? Was that enough? Like, was that enough being more than money? That's what is that what Meek Mill needed at that point of his career to get the next launch?
Definitely, yes. He needed that to extend his career because there wasn't too many options. And Rick Ross, when he came out with MMG, it was more like I'll call it like a boot camp. So it was like a boot camp for rappers. So everybody pretty much had to qualify themselves, even me, you know, and he did that. And I looked at him being as one of the ones that qualified to stay around, to make the bigger bag, to make the hits and all that. So it's kind of thinking like, all right, you know, it goes back to what OJ the Juice Man, great interview. I'm glad he spoke about this. And what Bonds has said, everything's set up for you to go, and you just go here and you get the money on the back end, you know. So I'm pretty sure we seen him sign his deal on YouTube. He put it on YouTube when he signed that contract. So at the same time, you're supposed to have your lawyer there. You're supposed to have a lawyer when you're signing that contract, because at the end of the day, this is your life. And like Bond said, the label was putting money into a product need to recoup. So at the end of the day, it's still a business, and you got to have your lawyer. Got to.
So, Rosewood, I want to ask you about the lyric in question where Rick Ross said that he let rappers get around Meek Mill. Now, earlier on, you know, Meek Mill was around T.I., but Rick Ross really did put him on Front Street, as some of the people in the chat have said. I want to get your response to that lyric, though.
Okay. Well, Ross, I think he was speaking on Jay-Z, because Meek, you know, when he's going on his trial, he's around Jay-Z, Robert Kraft, and them. So I think he's talking about Jay-Z when he says that, you know, and that's from being a fan listening to rap, you know, going subliminal. And, you know, he's saying that to Jay-Z because, you know, Jay-Z tried to sign Lil Wayne the same way, and Birdman sent out the cease and desist. So I think he's saying it like the same way, because now Meek is around Hove now, and he's like, oh, I need a new deal. So he's looking at it saying, look, I put you around those people or whatever. I gave you that deal. So now it's like, you know, this how you return the favor. So it's a double-edged sword. A double-edged sword.
And Rosewood. So here I had something written out. I wanted to say, did Meek Mill need that much marketing dollars? If you really look at the buzz he had already been establishing.
Now, that's a good question right there, because they had a perfect marketing plan for Meek Mills. And then he came out with a hit single. He came out with "I'm a Boss," like coming out the gate with Ross. So, man, that's a good question. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because if you already have a platinum winning hit, how much budget do you need behind that hit? You know, you got the hit.
Right. Yeah, true, Bonds. You know, it's like I said, look back to the early days with G Unit. It was like, what are we going to do for Lloyd Banks? Throw him out there alongside 50 Cent. What are we going to do for Young Buck? Throw him out there alongside. What are we going to do for Tupac? Oh, Dr. Dre has this amazing song called California Love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Yep. Business, man. Pushing that product.
So this is another point that I wanted to bring up, guys. You know, when Rick Ross started MMG, it was a dream to become something bigger. You know, recently Fat Trell did an interview where he said that the biggest check that he ever got came from Rick Ross and Atlantic Records. You know, I just want to point out all of the groundwork that was laid by Ross, Meek, and Wale. You know, this groundwork that maybe did not start off with advances other than, you know, the interest of Rick Ross. I mean, when Meek Mill got the message from Ross, he must have been ecstatic. Same with Wale. But once they put in that groundwork, I think it opened up Ross to be able to give advances to other rappers like Fat Trell, like Stolly. You know what I mean? Rosewood, what's your take on that? Maybe Meek Mill didn't initially get a check from dealing with Rick Ross, but future artists did. And Meek Mill is one of the most successful artists ever under Rick Ross.
True. It's always like that though. When you blaze the path, you never really get your flowers when you're blazing the path. So yes, they did, but like I said, it was like, you know, Ross set it up like a boot camp. Because like you were saying with G-Unit Records, they had to get a hit. 50 threw you out there, you had to get your own hit. Meek came in with a hit. He came in the door with a hit. So it goes like the question he said, would you rather have what, 500,000 or a meeting with Jay-Z? Basically, he got his, you know, he got his meeting. So it's like, you want the money or you want the meeting?
Oh, let me bring that question.
They was getting, yeah, I'm sure they was getting the show money though. So I'm sure they was eating though, like
Bonds.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, it was like, yo, we got to put in this work to show people that we're worth show money. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Bonds, I'm going to ask you as an artist. You're the residential rapper here on the panel, the local legend. Would you rather have a meeting with Jay-Z or $500,000? Right now.
$500,000.
500,000. I'm not talking back when you're 21. I'm talking right now.
Right now.
So, guys, I want to bring up this. Maybe it should be for another podcast episode, but another thing that I saw on the song Little Havana is Ross had a line about Omarion, where he said that after he signed Omarion, he started to fizz. Omarion had, first of all, that's the question. What did he mean when he said Omarion started to fizz, do you think? What do you think, Bonds? I kind of think he means like, you know, soda fizzes when it's ready to be drank, right? Or it's spun up, starting to fizz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not fizzle out.
Not fizzle out. Right.
Right. Because this is kind of crazy because Omarion had a major single, that Post to Be. Remember that song, Post to Be, you guys?
Yep.
Rosewood, why do you think that Rick Ross didn't capitalize and release a solo album on MMG with Omarion? It came out independent.
The thing with that was, I think Ross, that's the beginning of what you will call like the CEO phase or the boss phase with him, and it's different with an R&B artist than a hip hop artist. So at the same time, I don't think Ross really was advanced in that avenue at that time as he is now. He didn't know what he knew now that he knows then. And it really might have been like marketing, because now you have to control the marketing, you have to know the R&B charts, you have to know all this other stuff. And, you know, Omarion was popping back then. So Ross, I think he does, just learning with Omarion, because that was the beginning. That was like one of the first artists he was really working with on that level.
Well, it just really didn't make sense that he had just signed him, Bonds, and then that December, I remember the album, I can't remember what it was called, but the album released independently with a buzzing single, that Supposed to Be, then what it's supposed to be, then close to me, some shit like that. And Ross didn't capitalize. Would you just call it a beginner's mistake on that one, Bonds?
I mean, you could, but you never know. It could be little things like it could have been disagreements internal. Maybe O could have been feeling himself. Maybe they could have been negotiating and then over negotiated and then it stalled out. Like, so it could have been, you know what I mean? Maybe O wanted to do his own thing back since he got his, you know what I'm saying? Since he got his buzz back, he might have wanted to, you know what I mean, take his ball and go home. You never know, like, you know what I'm saying? Or could have been Ross, could have been something outside his control, really, though.
So Rosewood, I wanted to ask you, what do you make of Meek Mill still being on Maybach Music after 5 albums in?
Like I told you.
Oh man, that's in the contract. That's in the contract. Now, even if you don't have your lawyer reading this, you're still supposed to read it. You know, you're still supposed to read it, whether you know legal terms or not. So you know the minimum you're supposed to do and the maximum you're supposed to do as an artist. And what's your obligation to the label and what's your label's obligation to you is. You at least want to know that. You know, so in that contract, you want to know what that is. You know, because you can end up like Kanye. And I think Kanye says, you know, he signs a Rockefeller for life. So he didn't know if it's on like the 52nd page of a 100-something page contract and you don't read it, whose fault is that?
It's crazy. That's crazy. That's a crazy point from Rosewood, man. Yeah, this whole situation with Rick Ross and Meek Mill, you know, like Rosewood said earlier, it was
just grab my butt real fast, bro. Paul.
You're fine. Like Rosewood was saying a little bit earlier, man, like Rick Ross had to say something, and he usually does, as we saw a few years back when he released a record going at Birdman over the whole Lil Wayne situation, Rosewood.
Yeah, and I think Ross chilled a little bit. I think he didn't come right out and say anything because of the relationship him and Meek has and what they had when he signed them. So I think he was like, you know, let me think about it first and then let me address the situation. You know, what up, my G? But I think, you know, Ross was sitting back and saying enough is enough. I gotta still protect my brand. And I still gotta protect me as a brand. And that means in the future having artists come over here. You know, so Ross definitely had to say something.
It was kind of crazy how he really settled all the talk with one line too. You know, the line of "I let them rappers talk to Meek." You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Because we could just see as, you know, fans watching it in front of it, you know what I mean? A lot of T.I.'s artists didn't get the opportunity to really shine. You know what I mean? Like the MMG artists, like had the light directly shined on them. Like it was really like Rick Ross, Wale, and Meek. You know, in reality, it's T.I. and the other guys, Young Dro, Meek Mill, BG, and Young LA.
True. Well, the thing with Ti, now I'm not sure with PSC, but I know definitely with Meek that Ti was going through the legal situation, so he wasn't going to be able to promote Meek like that and put the money behind Meek. You know, Ross, like I said, he was starting it up, and Style and they had a guy from Florida. What was his name? It's gonna come to me, but he was on. Yeah, Pill, right. So that was like the boot camp, and it was basically like those first MMG albums. That was like to see who was going last on, because like I think you talked about the first group. You know, this Triple C's, and really only Gunplay really materializing out of that. So now this is the phase after that. So that's why I call it a boot camp, because Ross knew what he needed and knew what he wanted.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So let's move on. Let's move on to the second topic. Bonds, unless there was anything else that you wanted to say about Ross, Meek Mill, or MMG, I think we pretty much covered it all. But if there was anything else you wanted to say, Bonds,
Yeah, we can leave it. I'll leave it.
we'll see what ends up happening. You know what I mean? If Meek Mill ever does any interviews in regard to it, maybe if he gives a comparison on a track of being signed to T.I. and Rick Ross. But
Right.
we've heard him talk about it in interviews, both guys, you know what I mean? And they got a whole lot of money together, man. You know what I mean? Meek Mill, once he got that cosign at the radio station, when everybody at the station was telling him, Rosewood, Meek Mill, Meek Mill, Meek Mill, like he's really changed his life to a whole nother extent. Yeah, I mean, for crying out loud, he got to date the girl, Rosewood. He got to date the girl he loved.
See,
Yeah.
My bad, Rosewood.
Now, Mikey T, you right, because here in the city, we seen the buzz of Meek Mill. It was here. We seen the local, right?
Right.
We seen the tri-state. Now they attack the whole country and then the world. That's something different right there. And like you said, when you dating the hottest chick in the game and you the possibly the number one up and coming artist in the game too, it just makes all sense. Everything is coming together. That's a different experience right there, man. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention that he had dropped a comment on her page like from before, like, yo, Nikki, one day, this and that. I believe. You know what I mean? I believe I seen him talking about that one day, which is just ultimately crazy. You know what I mean? That ended up working out like that. It would kind of be like Gangsta Boo seeing Rosewood's video that we did the other day and shooting him a DM.
Well, Gangsta Boo. Thank you for the pleasure, but that's not Nicki Minaj.
Don't worry, Rosewood. We're trying to get her on the show.
Right. Nah, but what I was gonna say too is though, like, somebody brought it. I forgot who it was, that Meek Mill was doing that pretty much because he was trying to get out of his contract with Rick Ross so he can sign with Rock Nation.
Oh yeah, that's definitely been a major rumor, but apparently he's management over there, man. It seems like Rock Nation does a lot more management than actual label drop-ins. Am I right or wrong about that?
They doing the management with a lot of sponsorships and things like that. But listen, the kind of deal apparently that 7 album probably all the way around they could probably be, you know what I'm saying, it is a pieces of that Rock Nation deal is probably going. So he probably trying to cut dudes out and sign directly to Rock Nation. Rock Nation got a lot of dudes like that out of their contracts and from other people and all of that. So he trying to do that with Ross right now. That's why he's saying something right now, because he got somebody else that he trying to do business with.
Yeah, man. Like I said, like it's just kind of crazy that he's 5 albums in. He's sold millions of records under MMG, and he's still over there. Like it just doesn't make all the sense in the world to me. But let's move on to our next topic, man. We've spoke on Gillie the Kid and Joe Budden before, but the challenge was thrown out, man. They're calling Gillie the Kid the hottest rapper that does a podcast. I mean, Rosewood, Gillie the Kid had Metro Boomin on his show, cooking up a beat, and then he freestyled on the spot.
Moon Rock.
Bonds, what other podcaster can do that?
I'm saying trying to think, like, I'm saying trying to think, but because everybody got a podcast right now, but then we got to look at we got to think about dudes like the Godcast, Lord Jamal,
Math Hoffa,
OGs. He a battle rapper though.
Right. Mano, you got Mano. In the kitchen. Then you got Nori, you got Joe Budden.
You got Nori. Stop playing with Queens though. Don't even play with Queens like that. Queens got it. Nori got it.
Well, Buns, Joe Budden said Address that, Bonds. Why did Joe Budden say I'll battle Gillie for sure, but but Nori, no,
Cause he know he can't. He know he can't get in the ring with a goonie. He ain't about that life. He can't. He don't got nothing to say. Like like they say, styles make fights. His style going against Nori gonna sound corny. He gonna be talking some Nori too hood. Nori too hood.
Pump
So
it up.
Yeah, he can't do that with Nori. He can't do that with Nori. He gonna look bad in front of Nori. He got a better shot with not like they say, styles make fights. His style against Nori is not gonna work.
So let me ask you though, Rosewood. Gillie versus Joe Budden. Gillie said that he would sweep Joe Budden under the rug. In your opinion, is that what would happen?
Now, are they talking a rap battle or a podcast battle? Which one are they talking about here?
I was talking to my guy RBH, and he really, you know our homie RBH on the show, and
out to RBH.
Yo, I don't really know how they would do a podcast battle. I think it would be dope. They could have a couple guests, but I don't think people go to shows to watch the big screen projector, to watch old videos. They go to the show to see the live performance.
Yeah, that's what they got to do. They can't battle podcasting. That's corny. Like, what is it? How they gonna battle podcasting? They got to battle rapping, man.
So, what do you think, Rosewood, about the MC War format that we just saw Saigon and Vado do? Is that a type of format do you think that Gillie and Joe Budden would use?
I think so, because Gillie and Joe Buttons, they for the hood. They're gonna have more songs that the hood know than the mass public is going to know. So they would have to change the format and go with a format similar like that and not that same one. They would have to, like Bond says, styles make fights. So now we have to bring it to where each artist style can get showcased, in the right form. Because they both hood. Joe Buttons, you could say Joe Buttons got a hit. Gillie got a hit. So after that, it's all really mixtape stuff. So we will have to see the format.
Well, actually, reading this quote from Joe Budden, this is what Budden had to say. $1 million worth of game, I will oblige. Gillie, I'll do a verses with you. Neither one of us are big enough to make it on the verses stage. We can leave all the album tracks out. We don't need Pump It Up. We don't need Yeah, That's Us. So, Bonds, they're actually talking about meeting in a verses format where they each play their older songs from their mixtapes. Joe Budden, obviously, the mood music. Rosewood, where would you say the majority of Gillie's material is going to come from if it doesn't come from the Yeah, That's Us, the Major Figures album? Well, obviously, he's got the King of Philly series with DJ Drama.
Okay. See now, okay, in between Yeah, That's Us and the King of Philly with DJ Drama, Gillie got so much work. I don't know how many appetizers. I remember going up to like appetizer 6 or 7, but from 1 through 7, then projects after that, then joint projects with other people in the city. So Gillie got a lot of material.
The appetizer, isn't that Oskino's joint?
Fact.
They both had an appetizer. See, that's what you got to be in the city to know that. They both had appetizer projects. And Oskino had a bunch of them, and Gillie had a bunch of them. But through that time, they both were still putting out other projects. They had materials. They had material for days. So that's why I was saying Gillie.
What do you think about them leaving out the Yeah, That's Us record and the Pump It Up? What's the point of leaving those records out?
I don't know. I think you would have to Pump It Up and Yeah, That's Us, because that's like the hits we gonna know Joe Budden for, and that's the hit they gonna know Gillie for. So they will have to put it up there.
Yeah, I think Joe Budden was just talking, but if they could actually get this set up, I don't see why Versus wouldn't want to jump on this, Bonds. Like these are the two biggest podcasters. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't Versus want to jump on this? What's your take on that, Bonds?
I think Versus would jump on it, but I think they don't even need Versus to jump on it. They can set it up themselves. Like dudes gonna watch it live streaming. Versus ain't providing no platform that don't nobody else got. It ain't like Versus is on TV or something. It's on the internet, so just stream it yourself. You can get just as much views. Y'all all got more.
Well, no, I think they did have Versus. I think they did have Versus on some sort of a streaming platform, like it was before a fight or some shit like that.
Triller.
But I don't think did Triller do the last two verses.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Like that, all right? They might have snuck that early.
No, they're definitely heavily messing with Triller right now, bro. Triller was over at Fat Joe's crib after the fight.
I was about to say, with Fat Joe
maybe
the chick.
Don't take every verses. Then maybe they ain't take every verses or something.
No, it's turning into a bigger thing now, man. Like the last one, I think was even on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. It's turning into a bigger thing now.
360 was on Hulu.
Who's that?
I think the Ja Rule and Fat Joe was on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But no, Versus is just turning into a whole nother thing now, man. It's like it's going to be like how the WWF used to sell pay-per-view.
Fact.
It's going to be like how UFC sells pay-per-view now. George McCarthy says, "Get down on the ground, Trumps, pump it up." New York native says Joe Budden's got bars. He said Joe Budden's got bars. Gillie's got bars, though.
Yeah, Gillie definitely got bars. That's why I think it'll be a good versus. If they can put it together and make a good format for people to want to tune in, not just back and forth wordplay. Really give a format where we're sitting there watching and coming with the hits. Then I think that's something they'll be popping because they both can rap.
Yeah. And it's right there, Philly, Jersey. They could do a big event right there. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't really need verses. Like, I just feel like they don't need verses.
They could do it on their own platforms, like Bonds was saying. But honestly, why wouldn't Versus want to do this? They like getting the hottest people in all divisions. Like, they get the classic artists. You know what I'm saying? They get the OG artists. They get the hottest artists right now. Why wouldn't they go for the guys with the hottest podcasts out? And that's really their sell right there, man. That's really their sell for this one, man. But guys,
I think that would be their sell.
Who would win it? So if the battle actually happens, who's gonna win this, man? Bonds, Rosewood? Is it? Can we give some predictions on this?
The Move Music series from Joe Budden was big.
Yeah,
I'm not really a Joe Budden fan. Like I said, I was maybe at one point when he was like on the Clues with Fabulous and them, and he was rapping like punchlines and all that. But by the time he started getting the mule music and all of that other stuff, I wasn't into that. So I don't know, but maybe I think Gillie. I don't know because they both equally talent wise. Song catalog wise is probably like the same. So I don't know. They might be a wash, bro. Like, but I like Gillie better. Maybe I could say that.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm going with Gillie as well. Yeah. I'm rocking with Gillie, but I will say that I actually am different from you in that I really started taking to Joe Budden more when he did the Mood Music series. He had quite a few of those joints.
Yeah.
That's actually around the time when he gave me an interview. You know what I mean? Joe Budden's is definitely a talent. I would have liked to see more music, but he has held me content with his podcast. You know what I mean? And even, you know, when he did the group thing with Slaughterhouse was dope as well. So they both done the group thing. They both have the group aspect. So let's not forget that if it were to come to a Verzuz, we could see Slaughterhouse appear.
True. Now, if we see Slaughterhouse appear, right? Will we see Eminem?
No, that's what I was just thinking. You will not see Eminem. You might see Eminem on $1 Million Worth of Game, though, before the week before.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
that shit off. But they could bring the whole Slaughterhouse onto $1 Million Worth of Game. They could bring Joe Budden on, so it could be really a good sell.
Yeah, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. There's a lot of ways they really can sell this. It's a lot of ways.
Hell yeah, man. I think it's dope. But listen, everybody on here, I want you guys to all follow me on the gram. Everybody on here that follows me on Instagram right now, I will follow you all back. Follow Mikey T for a follow back. Oh, that's right. Everybody on here that follows me, I will follow you back. I'm putting it up. I'm going to pin it up in the chat so everybody on here can follow me. I hope you all enjoyed the live tonight. I really appreciate the turnout. You know, we had a dope show tonight. I appreciate my co-host, Rosewood from Philly, and I appreciate my guy, Bond Simmons. I'm going to send it over to Bond Simmons right now to give you his drop and all of his information. Bonds, let them know what you do for anybody who might not know, and let them know where they can contact you to get in touch.
Yeah, Bond Simmons, BONDSSIMMONS, man. Music, podcasting, you know what I mean? We got the TNR wear going off. I just dropped a phenomenal project this year though, Local Legend. So go check that out. It's streaming on all platforms. I got a couple features on there, Kid, Bigger Ranking, Dark Low, a lot. So just you know what I mean, check me out. Bond Simmons on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram. I'm up, I'm lit, I'm highly active, I'm working every day. Paul Car Radio, I'm here with the team. Rosewood, we here, we tapping in. So subscribe to this channel, man. Let's go.
Let them know one more time how they can find your record with Dark Low right now, Bonds. If we got any Dark Low fans who want to hear an unheard Dark Low verse, it's on Bond Simmons' new album. Let them know where they can find it, though, Bonds.
It's on all platforms. Is right now, is in your pocket on your phone right now. If you type in Bond Simmons, you know what I mean, Free the Men featuring Dark Low. You know what I mean, free the bros, free the guys, free the men, free Dark, free AR Ab, free all the political prisoners, free the bros locked down, man. Y'all know what it is. Peace and love to everybody that's in the chat, everybody that support us, that come here every time we go live. Like, it's all peace and love, man. We you know what I'm saying, personally, definitely enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Building with y'all. You know what it is. Check that out, though.
And guys, I want everybody to tap in with my brother Rosewood. Y'all know he works with Razor. I want to say free Razor right now. Free the bro Razor. He'll be home soon, but you know, we'll be repping his name here on the hip hop panel until he does come home soon. And Rosewood, let them know how they can get in contact with you. That's artist management, that's studio, that's artist showcase. Let them know it all, Rosewood. We got some people in the building tonight.
Hey, man, salute to everybody in the chat tonight, man. Salute for everybody that's always tapping in with us, man. You know, it's your boy Rosewood, straight out of Philly. Spill_ENT on the gram, spillentertainment.com. You can definitely check out what me and Razor got going on. Free my brother, he'll be home soon. You know, back to the studio working. If you're in the city, man, tap in 1122 Studios. We got the members only Monday showcase. Shout out to Ace the Chemist. Shout out to Missy Porter doing their thing, man. Then we got the showcase on Friday too. It's down expanded. You know, shout out to Enes. You know, shout out Killer Kells. is we really moving, man. About to start a vlog for members only. So tap into Spill Entertainment for that. You know, shout out Mikey T and Report Card Radio, man, for putting the spotlight on the city, man, and definitely
Shout out
keeping
to
hip hop
Missy.
out there. You know,
Yo, guys, check out Snoop Dogg's new weed.
The doggy bag.
what's that?
This is that Snoop Dogg doggy bag weed, you guys.
Doggy bag.
The official weed of Snoop Dogg.
I shang got the doggy bag.
But you already know, man, I appreciate my co-host, Rosewood, Bond Simmons, man. This is the hip-hop panel.
Moon Rock.
Moon Rock.
Moon Rock.
It's Moon Rock weed, or do you break that up and put that in the weed?
Break that up and put it in there, baby. This is off the moon. I just got back off. They just dropped this shit off in the spaceship, nigga. This shit straight off the moon, my nigga.
Hell yeah, man. Yo, I
put the spacesuit on to get this, my nigga.
Thank y'all for tapping in tonight, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the discussion. We will see you.
One step for man.
We'll see you on the next episode, man.